Thanks Keith for the nice introduction, and good afternoon everyone. Thanks for having me here today. So I'm May, so I'm born and raised in Hong Kong. Um, so I've been well briefed that I'm the only Hong Kong representative here, so I'm just gonna make that really clear to everyone. So actually, I'm a researcher by training, and I've been spent the past 10 to 15 years in a couple of customer experience role across different corporates. So as Keith mentioned, I spent quite a few years in Asia Miles, which is the rewards program of Cathay Pacific, and also spent some time in Mox, which is one of the virtual banks in Hong Kong. To basically operationalize service design or design thinking in corporates. So now I'm actually the service design director at Accenture based in Hong Kong, helping other clients to do the same in terms of doing design right in Hong Kong business sectors. So I came across the term service design and design thinking roughly around 10 years ago. And frankly speaking, when I get my first job in Hong Kong doing something that's related to service design, I'm often being, I think the question that I kept on asking people is this your first time hearing the term service design? And most of my colleagues would say, yeah. And to be honest, I really don't know what you're doing here as a service designer. So frankly speaking, service design is a really, really new term back then in Hong Kong. And I myself did a lot of soul searching in terms of what service design is in Hong Kong, particularly in the business sector. And thanks to the Hong Kong community, the Hong Kong design community in general, there is a lot of private, public communities have been spending a lot of effort advocating service design as well as design thinking. And now, frankly speaking, whenever I talk to any clients at Accenture, most of them will know what service design is, and most importantly, they know service design is the right thing to do. So, and frankly speaking, the entire service design concept is, to me, a common sense, particularly I'm a researcher. Come on, you're just putting customers in the center of whatever you are doing, right? Be you're designing a service, you're thinking about a new strategy for your business, etc. What is it so hard to understand and to get to do it? So the ambitious, young, and naive me, when I started this journey 10 years ago, I do expect the journey to be like this. Pretty straightforward, pretty common sense, pretty simple. But then in reality, it's actually like this. A lot of my clients as well, my colleagues who are service designers trying to practice that in business contexts, most of the time would say that, hey, it's actually complicated, it's actually messy, and most of the time it's actually hard work. And it's because doing service design in business context means I now have a new boss. The boss is called customers. And because I have to satisfy my customers' needs, my day-to-day job and my role has to change. And because my job and my role has to change, I need to prove myself as fast as I can so that I can tell people that service design has its own value in business. And that's why I do want to spend the rest of my time talking about doing service design right in Hong Kong Business Centre. In particularly sharing 3 most common challenges for us to do service design right in a lot of the corporates. And let me start with, how can I tell a convincing story of my customers? And I think the obvious answer is that, okay, let's do that first by doing some sort of research, right? And then a lot of time we'll start trying to plan a research, and typically, hey, let's do some qualitative research. Let's quickly do some interviews. What about focus groups? Or do some usability testing? Hey, it's no. Qualitative sample size is too small. It's not representative enough. You're talking to 10 customers only, and now I'm making a decision for 1 million customers. Let's do some quantitative research, roll out a survey, collect more data. let's start measuring the businesses as well as the experience we created with some sort of metrics. NPS, CSAT, CES. These kind of buzzwords sounds really familiar, hey? And a lot of time by mentioning these research buzzwords, and it will means I actually know my customers. I've already done one focus group, I've already done one interviews. I'm doing service design. Seriously, I really can feel Professor Xin's pain just now, that this is probably not the end of the journey. DBS has its own framework, and I also have my own framework. So this is a framework that I, in a way, interpret from some of the design thinking learnings that I picked up a long time ago. And then, obviously, this framework, it shouldn't be too foreign to you. Or it consists of, the 5 key stages. We first discover what the customer's truth is, and then let's define the real challenge and the problem is. And then we design and create solutions to solve that particular challenge or problem. And then we build and deliver that solutions. And then we start measuring and evaluate the effectiveness of these solutions in making a change. And typically, research happens at these 3 key stages. And the research effort usually are the highest at these 3. And it's important for you to actually understand which stage you are in when you plan your research. And because the research objectives tend to be quite distinctive at these 3 stages. So take, for example, if I'm in a bank, I want to discover the potential of a new credit card proposition in Hong Kong. So what I would consider doing is that maybe let's start off with a quantitative survey to actually assess the potential of the market size first. And once I'm able to identify the potential of certain market as well as its segments, then I can deep dive into each of these segments using qualitative research to test out my proposition to see whether it's well received by the segments that has the highest potential. And imagine if I'm an insurance company. I want to design the insurance claiming process again. So maybe I would consider doing some sort of journey mapping to understand the as-is process across different digital as well as physical touchpoints, including the agents. And basically reimagine how I can simplify the entire insurance claiming process on the app, as well as how the agent is dealing with the clients. And doing some sort of usability testing, focusing on the digital user screens to see whether it is easy enough for people to make a claim. And if I'm a retail company, I want to evaluate the impact of the new product launch that I've just launched into the market. I might consider doing some sort of brand tracking to see how this product is having an impact on my brand awareness, or even looking into NPS to see if this product is effectively creating some sort of advocacy to my brand. So what I'm trying to get to the point is that a lot of time, it's really important for us to define the right objective at the right stage of your service design process and let that inform the methodologies that you need to use, rather than the other way around. Because I think as what Professor Xin was talking just now, the methodology itself is just a tool. It's just a means for you to get to the research. It's not the end of the research. And frankly speaking, in a lot of corporate contexts, doing research is actually quite a daunting task. Particularly, it is the beginning of the service design process. Asia Miles, the rewards program of Cathay Pacific, in a way, tried to lower this barrier back in 2014. So they spent a few $1 million setting up this, what we call it as an Asia Miles community, which is this online research tool consisting thousands and thousands of Asia Miles members, whereby the Asia Miles research team can regularly send out surveys, invite the members to focus group, interviews to basically discuss and understand what is some of the fundamental problem with the program and how we can actually improve the entire membership experiences with some of our loyal members. So it actually makes the entire research process a lot simpler, a lot easier, more efficient, and most importantly, fun. Because now, Asia Miles Teams member is able to interact with their customers on a very casual level to get their feedback so that in a way inspire them to make the program even better. And this investment, to be honest, is well spent because what we get in return is some priceless customer knowledge that's gonna shape the future of the program. So after we have basically done the research, and obviously we have a lot of great customer insights, the next question would be, how am I able to tell a great story of my customers to convince the rest of the business? So Mox, which is by Standard Chartered, one of the 8 virtual banks launched back in 2020 in Hong Kong, has a very creative way to tell the Mox stories using real customers. So back in 2020, not a lot of the Hong Kong customers would know what virtual banks is. A lot of them will say, hey, how is it different from a traditional bank, besides the fact that it doesn't have a physical branch? So technically, how does a virtual bank works? So here, what I'm gonna show you is Mox actually managed to articulate their products and new services through the voices of 5 real customers. And these voices are genuine, meaning they are not scripted. They are technically just soundbite from some qualitative individual interviews. And now let's the Mox customers explain to you what Mox is.
Mox 最重要一樣咧就係方便。Mox 裏邊嘅錢咧轉入銀行戶口嗰度買股票，坐喺屋企裏邊將啲調嚟調去，咁即刻喺個網上銀行嗰度就即時買到股票。賣股票又係賣咗然之後咧，將啲錢咧又轉翻去 Mox 嗰度。咁每一日咧，當你睇到佢俾啲利息你咧，你就覺得啊，今日又賺咗杯咖啡啦。以我哋啲長者嚟講咧，用呢張卡咧就毫無困難咯。或者買嘢你仲有回贈翻俾你，我覺得係好開心嘅。即係熟嘅咧，見到咧我都會掃張卡俾佢睇下，嗱呢張嘢正嘢嚟。
咁 Mox 佢扮演住我一個真係好似 butler 咁樣嘅角色啦，即係因為無時無刻我只要一開我嘅手機，其實我就已經見到我需要嘅 information。好奇我想睇下我而家今日賺咗幾多嘅 saving interest 啦，或者可能係 cashback 上面嘅錢咧，我一開我已經見到。It's not even 講緊係要 monthly 啊或者 weekly 啊，佢根本就係個 real time。咁所以嗰樣嘢對我嚟講就好 informative。我嗰下覺得每一下都好似賺緊錢咁樣，即係雖然唔係好多，但係即係 kind of 積少成多嘅時候，你就會覺得啊有個 hook 俾你，即係令到你繼續想用佢啦，繼續想可以丟佢，可以知道更加多。
Particularly for an expat, it is expensive in Hong Kong, like rent. Both of our kids go to international school, so that's significant expenditure. So what we're spending. We decided that let's actually use Mox and let's use the debit card function on there. Well, first of all, the first time I asked to see your Mox wheel, you wouldn't let me see it, right? So
Spend more.
I think it's almost enabled us to virtually go back to having a budgeted amount, like a virtual wallet that we can draw down from, and it's made it more visual and tangible.
嗰次嘅體驗咧就非常之好，好開心。因為我相信，如果我冇記錯嘅話咧，我真係 less than 3分鐘我就完成晒成個開戶嗰個過程。咁我喺 Mox 嗰度咧，其實我每次做完一個 transaction 咧，都 instantly 我會知道究竟我做咗啲乜嘢啦。喺我個手提電話啦，喺我個 email 嗰度咧，其實都會收到一個通知 from 你哋 Mox 呢個銀行 acknowledge 咗我做啲乜嘢，係好快啦，好即時啦，好方便啦，好穩陣啦。 好可靠咯。即係我唔會覺得因為虛擬銀行，我就唔知啲錢喺個大海嗰度去咗邊咁樣。
我覺得 Mox 係一個教導學生理財嘅一個工具咁樣咯。Mox 佢本身好鼓勵啲學生去即係儲多啲錢啊嘛，即係可以有個10 account 去儲錢。咁呢個功能係我覺得去鼓勵緊學生，即係唔好咩都買，即係唔好咁衝動去消費，咁反而可以即係擺啲錢落去，同埋佢又有即係相對高少少嘅利息咁樣咧，就可以吸引到即係大家去儲錢呢個習慣咯。
Just in 3 minutes, we managed to talk about the story of Mox and how it is actually making an impact across various generations within the Hong Kong society. So this video, in fact, is only done by 2 people. One researcher, who is actually conducting the interviews with the 5 customers, and another videographer to basically select the soundbite and put them together in one video. So little impact in a way, but just adding with a little bit of creativities, it just creates such a nice story to get that story sticks. So just to wrap up with my first point of view around the common challenges that we're facing when we do service design in Hong Kong, on telling a convincing story of my customers. So remember, get the research objective right and let it inform the methodology, not the other way around. Research methodology is just a means, and it's not the end to the research. Make sure you have the right research tool and team so that you can make research a lot easier and simple to start the service design process. And also let the customer's voice be heard in a creative way so that it sticks. So now let's move on to the second common challenge that I myself or even some of my clients are asking me nowadays. Is how can I better engage my stakeholders throughout the process? And frankly speaking, as I mentioned in my earlier slices, a lot of time service design does mean change to larger corporates. And a lot of time that change happens at the defined stage. So frankly speaking, if I have to get buy-in from stakeholders, to me, a very simple answer to answer that question is to bring them along the entire design process. And that starts with getting them to meet the customers directly. This is a very old photo back in the Asia Miles days. It was 7 o'clock in the evening in a focus group room venue with our Asia Miles community members in the interview room and the Asia Miles team sitting in the observation room, listening to how the Asia Miles members sharing their experiences about the program. Although it has been hard work, although it's actually late night, the Asia Miles team tend to enjoy a lot listening to the members because a lot of times they make the problems sound so real and sound so obvious. It actually helps the team to stay very focused on the things that we need to fix immediately. And to a certain extent, implying this strategic focus that probably is actually more aligned to what the CEO is looking for. And in those occasions, you can imagine different heads are having different interpretation on what the customer's feedback are. So what you hear with a business head might actually be different from what you're hearing with a tech head. If you're coming from a marketing team, you might actually have a different interpretation of what you're hearing if you're coming from a customer service team. So this is what the 6 thinking hat concept is all about. Acknowledging individuals and teams to look at problems and situations from a variety of perspectives. And a lot of time, this acknowledgement or even these critical steps, it's often being overlooked. And at Accenture, it is our common practice to actually set up at least a 30 minutes debriefing session or even a separate workshop after the entire research fieldwork so that clients cross teams are able to come together in a safe environment and forum to come together to share their different views and perspective from what they have heard from our customers. What sort of changes that will imply to their team? And what potentially are some of the changes that they need to do on their day-to-day job? And that kind of change, in a way, can happen organically. And we shouldn't be assuming that it will happen organically. So, in a way, it is important to facilitate those conversations so that there is a neutral party to identify where the gaps are and also to help joining some of the dots. Frankly speaking, facilitation is a job and a service on its own at Accenture. And that's what the clients are paying me for. So you can see in the photos, me helping the clients, bringing the different teams together, facilitating conversations, defining actionable next steps within each team, as well as aligning different work streams so that we are able to assign the right tasks to the right people. So change, to a certain extent, in a corporate context, needs to be orchestrated systematically with a clear goal in mind so that we can actually able to bring the herd together. And the more you're doing this in a corporate setting, the more you gradually realize that a good service design in a business context is all about successful cross-team collaborations. So next time, have a think whether you need a team who can raise this F1, meaning a lean team actually consists of the right SMEs making decisions within minutes to win the race, or you actually need a team who operates the bus, making sure it arrives safely, arriving at the stops on time within a fixed schedule. Success chain projects that happens in MOX by Standard Chartered, Asia Miles by Cathay Pacific, and even Pay Me by HSBC are successful ones that, in a way, have a particular team being carved out from their entire organizations, so that these smaller, leaner teams are empowered to drive a particular change, giving them flexibility and agility to move fast and make changes happen rapidly. So just to wrap up my second point of view around the second common challenges. In order to get your stakeholders to buy in into the entire process, bring them along the journey, let them meet the customers, acknowledge the different ways of thinking within the organizations and by different teams, facilitate those conversations, and orchestrate change. Don't assume it will happen organically, and also try to keep the team as lean as you can so that you guys can move as fast as you can. So now going to my last point, or the last challenge, is how can I prove the value of service design without solving world hunger? And the lean concept, in a way, applies in this stage. So start small, with a small team, with a manageable scope of work, so that in a way, within a fixed time period, you are able to deliver an MVP, a minimal viable product, to prove some immediate impact and business value first. And we can always continue to evolve the output over time. Frankly speaking, you really don't have to solve world hunger in day one. And the reason why I created this framework myself is because it implies the service design process is never ending. It's a cycle. Today, I deliver MVP 1.0. 2 years down the road, I might be going through the same process and deliver MVP 2.0. And here it comes MVP 3.0 and 4.0, and it goes on and on. One success case that I really want to bring your attention to is HSBC Pay Me. I'm pretty sure you all know what it is now. Back in 2016, Pay Me actually started its digital transformation journey, which is a team of one. And partnering with Accenture, they tactfully able to contain the entire MVP scope within social payment to facilitate splitting bills after meals with friends and families. which is one of the biggest pain points in Hong Kong when it comes to peer-to-peer payment. They managed to actually successfully launch the MVP within 2 years, and it was a great success. They immediately achieved 14% increase in peer-to-peer wallet shares, 1.5 million registered users uptake, and managed to basically instantly allow users to register their account in less than 1 minute. And look at PayMe now. If you get a chance to actually use PayMe and just open their app now, it is definitely more than just a social payment. It has gradually evolved into Hong Kong #1's digital wallet, with recent features like LIC, PayMe for Business, PayMe for point of sales, and they have various kind of rewards for customers as well as business. The other success cases that I also want to share with you is AIA iSay. So iSay is actually a social media content hub designed for AIA agent to drive leads and sales. It is started off as a centralized content hub for agents just simply forwarding content to their prospect customers back in 2022. Even though it's such a simple content hub forwarding tool, it managed to achieve remarkable results within just the first 6 months of launch. They actually won 3 awards in the industry and rapidly expanding this prototype to other markets like Vietnam and Thailand. And this is iSay today. The MVP now is being integrated into the CRM system, and now there is an AI behind it for even more accurate targeting of content to agents as well as to their customers. So just to wrap up, to address the last challenge in terms of proving service design value, start small. Don't aim to actually solve world hunger on day one. Design an MVP so that, in a way, it can achieve remarkable success in the short term, and continue to evolve the successful MVP and never stops. And this is also just the beginning of doing service design right in Hong Kong. And I'm pretty sure we'll continue to evolve this journey. And I'm looking forward to the next 10 years with the Hong Kong design community to grow together. Thank you so much for having me today.